My name is Adan. I was born and raised here in El Paso, Texas, and it's like the beautiful mixture of El Paso culture, Mexican culture, and American culture. I love the history of El Paso. I'm also a music producer. I've been producing for about 10 years. I love it. It's my happy place. But I'm also a nightlife DJ, and it really helped me understand and see the history of El Paso. But I'm also from the streets. I have 14 years in EMS. But today, I want to talk about the United States immigration detention facilities.
I need EMS to Camp Montana East Detention Center, the immigration facility, 1018. I have an unresponsive individual. He's completely blue. He tried to hang himself, and then we put him in cuffs, and he kept going.
Yes, we got a situation where they found someone that committed suicide or tried to commit suicide.
Oh, so I have a 27-year-old female. She is 12 weeks pregnant, reporting lower back pain and severe headaches, and sending her out for further evaluation. She's never received any prenatal care prior to arriving here.
I have a patient here who is presenting with left-sided numbness and weakness to his arm. The thing is, he doesn't speak English.
Okay, so you wouldn't be able to ask him to do any of the
Correct. Yeah, he only speaks Russian.
We have a 80-year-old male that had a witness fall, and he hit his head.
I'm here at the East Montana immigration detention facility. It's one of the most controversial sites in the current United States immigration debate. Today, we confront one of the most polarizing issues in United States immigration politics. As Republicans and Democrats clash about topics like enforcement and human rights and reform, let's unpack both perspectives on the future of immigration for millions of immigrants and the future of United States policy. It's important to note that through a historic perspective, immigration detention camps have existed for decades. They've been shaped by laws and policies since the early 21st century. What are immigration detention camps? These are facilities where migrants are held while their immigration cases are processed, mainly operated by ICE and CBP, and they're used for people awaiting asylum, immigration hearings, and deportation. Some of the background history and key points are immigration detention has existed in the United States for decades. Some facilities are large processing centers or converted warehouses. Example, the Ursula Processing Center in Texas can hold over 1,000 migrants. The U.S. detention system includes many facilities operated by ICE and contractors. The main arguments of the Republican Party perspective: detention centers enforce immigration. They help ensure migrants appear for immigration court hearings. Supporters say detention protects public safety and border security. Many Republicans support increasing detention capacity and stricter enforcement. ICE states that detention may be necessary to ensure immigrants appear for their proceedings. On the contrary, the main arguments of the Democratic Party perspective concerns about human rights and living conditions. There's a lot of criticisms of family detention and child detention. Many Democrats support alternatives such as monitoring programs instead of detention. For example, advocacy groups argue some facilities have overcrowding and poor medical care. Some of the major issues and key controversies amongst the two parties are overcrowding and detention conditions, medical care for detainees, private companies operating some facilities, and the length of detention. Recent reports have highlighted deaths and health concerns in immigration detention, raising criticism from advocacy groups. I've compiled 4 interviews from 2 different parties, the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. It'll give us a little bit more perspective of what each side thinks of the detention centers and the human rights in detention centers as well. Do you think holding people in detention helps or hurts immigration law?
I believe it hurts.
Why do you say?
Because there's no clear I guess the way that it's being handled right now is just more about inhumanity. I don't see the benefit in it because you're separating families, you're separating kids, you're putting a lot more danger into everything than it is just holding people into a cell. Like it doesn't make sense. The threat of immigration is ridiculous. I don't understand why a country that's founded by immigrants for immigrants all of a sudden has a problem with immigrants. So that's the part that it hurts because it's only causing more damage than good.
Yeah. Are you worried about how people are treated in detention centers?
Absolutely.
Why do you say?
Because for one, there's no coverage, there's no clear, there's no transparency, so we don't know really what's going on. And the stories that we have been told from people that have survived out of there is the treatment's inhumane. There's people are dying in there for being neglected, and it's really only the fact that they're brown, and it's insane that it has to go that route.
On that note, do you think that the media coverage for human rights for the immigrants that are detained is being covered adequately?
No, absolutely not. No, and then you see how they're trying to control the media, and then you have people like Laura Loomer. They are trying to, when alligator Alcatraz was open, and she was like, "Oh, let's feed these alligators millions of meals," but the amount she quoted was the total population of Hispanics in the United States versus the small percentage of what are they saying? The bad ones, the criminals. Right.
Okay. What is one change you would make to improve the system?
More, I guess it shouldn't fall all on the Border Patrol. I think that's the biggest thing that we've come to think of immigration, Border Patrol. I think the biggest thing that we need to do is get rid of ICE and better support the Border Patrol, better support the laws that go into, better support elect people that are going to be working towards immigration reform and actually, follow through the justice that the Constitution states. That's the biggest thing.
Why would you eliminate ICE completely instead of integrating it with the Border Patrol?
Because the ICE, they're training, I guess I don't understand, because they're getting random people. There's no credit. Border Patrol go through this rigorous training, to get in is really hard. You have to go through this criminal background check, it's legit, and then you're gonna put them in the same field as people who their last jobs was they were McDonald's employees. You see the quality of these ICE people deteriorating just because they want big, they want to scare people. They don't care about quality. No. And so I don't think mixing them is good, because you're gonna dilute our
already established system.
Exactly.
All right.
You're gonna make it worse.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Do you think holding people in detention centers helps or hurts immigration law?
In my honest opinion, I do believe that it hurts it, but not because I'm against it. I feel that the media, the universities, Hollywood, entertainment, celebrities, I feel like they've painted this narrative. They've done a pretty good job at convincing a lot of Americans that these detention centers are a bad thing. To answer your question, I feel for those reasons, I feel that it does hurt immigration law, but unfortunately, I don't agree with it. If anything, I feel that there should be doing more to deport people who have entered the country legally. I just feel there's a lot of spotlight right now on the current administration because it's Donald Trump. They didn't expect him to win in 2016. He wasn't expected to win in 2024. So it's brought a lot of the media's attention. And I feel the spotlight is on him, and I think that's why it's been portrayed by the media, by the universities, by celebrities as a bad thing. But Barack Obama, he did it. He deported way more people than Donald Trump is currently doing. The deportations that are currently happening right now, most of them are from self-deportations. The actual people deported because of their criminal activity is very minimal. Most of those were self-deportations, and they got an incentive and the opportunity to apply for asylum or to apply for citizenship later down the road, and they self-deported. Barack Obama's nickname was the deporter-in-chief. He deported way more people than Donald Trump ever did. The stance that Barack Obama had back then, and even before then, Clinton and Bush, what they call far right now was just the normal back then. Back then, even Democrats were saying that illegal immigration hurts Americans, hurts U.S. jobs. But unfortunately, like I said, I feel that the universities, the media, and Hollywood and have brainwashed most Americans into believing that illegal immigration is good and that we should just welcome everybody. And I disagree. We're not the world's life raft, and eventually we're going to see.
Are you worried about how people are treated in detention centers?
Well, I guess everybody has a human side, and when they hear these sob stories through the media, I guess it does tug on heartstrings. But the fact of the matter is that, I mean, they did enter the country illegally. They would never be in that situation if they stayed home, if they stayed together with their families, if they stayed back in their home country. Of course, I don't want to see anybody tortured or obviously or die in custody, but I feel that a lot of these stories are grossly exaggerated. And as soon as something happens to one of these detainees, the media is quick to jump on it, exaggerate, put it in front page news as soon as something happens to them. But do they show the same type of do they show the same type of news when an illegal immigrant kills an American? There's been plenty of stories where they spend less than a minute, 30 seconds on illegal immigrants killing U.S. citizens, but as soon as someone dies in the detention centers, it's front page news. Of course, I don't want to see them mistreated, but at the same time, I feel that a lot of those stories are over exaggerated, and the fact is that they did enter the country illegally.
Yeah. What's one thing you would change about? What's one change you would make to improve the system?
One thing that I would do to improve the system. So I've actually even written to congressmen, senators about my ideas here at the local parties that I'm affiliated with, at the city conventions, the state conventions, and even the national conventions, where I've agreed with a lot of other people in ending birthright citizenship. I do believe that the citizenship isn't a right to illegals shouldn't make a U.S. citizen a U.S. citizen. I do feel that when that was enforced, where they were giving it to everybody, I do feel that it wasn't enforced correctly, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Back when they started allowing birthright citizenship, my suggestion would be to end that and stop anchor families coming in. Ending birthright citizenship will stop tourist what's the term? Tourism hotels, tourism birth hotels. A lot of countries that will come over here will bring the women when they're pregnant and have them give birth while they're touring the United States. I feel that it would solve a lot of issues, just ending birthright citizenship, which will stop chain migration and anchor babies from coming in. And people will say, well, the population's dwindling, the population's going to go down, the birth rates are down. I do feel like that, but I think that's a whole nother story where the nuclear family is being attacked and there's incentives for women to be single and depend on the government. That's a whole nother story. But to solve that issue, along with ending chain migration, birthright citizenship, anchor babies, I think improving incentives for nuclear families to stay together, giving incentives for them to have more kids, tax breaks, would supplement more people the U.S. citizenship rate.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Do you think holding people in detention helps or hurts immigration law?
I believe holding people in detention centers hurts immigration law. I believe immigrants have rights. I believe everybody has rights. I do believe that the Constitution was founded on life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. That right is not just eligible for people born in the United States. When I'm talking about detention centers and then immigration law, I understand that there needs to be one. Like, that's okay. Like, there has to be restriction and enforcement, and there are different politics and different governments run in different lands. But when you run detention centers and then you're trying to enforce the law, people are trying to enforce that people live there for a certain amount of time, or that there is a law that if people follow the law and gain citizenship, that should already be enforced. Okay, so if an immigrant comes from another country, there is a process, there is a gateway through the law that gives them citizenship. So now my problem with the detention centers is that it doesn't follow the law. Okay, there is no way that people should be held in detention centers for an amount of time while trying to gain their citizenship. Okay, if they came here legally through programs that our government has through the law, then we should follow that law. Okay, the detention centers do not follow the law. They have held one of my students. I'm a high school teacher, and they detained one of my students' family. Okay, so it is a family of 5, the 2 parents and 3 brothers, and the oldest brother got deported. And the sucky part is that he got deported because he was following the law. He got a text message to show up to the detention center to continue his process of gaining citizenship. He was 19 years old. He is 19 years old, and he followed everything that the American government and the American law said to do. He went to the judge. They detained him, and he is currently back in Central America. His family was one of the families that came from the Central America caravan, and they made it into South El Paso. They did everything legally that I was asked for them, of course. I understand that, like, maybe some of the process of like the caravan or jumping the wall or anything like that, I understand that there's that part, but there's also the legal way. And when the legal way doesn't work, that's when it shows that the detention centers are not working and are not helping the immigration law.
Are you worried about how people are treated in detention centers?
Okay, so I am a history teacher, and the history with detention centers you can trace back into World War II, probably even prior to that. But what it is, when I say World War II, I just don't mean concentration camps where Nazis detained or moved away Jewish people. I'm also talking about the executive order 1966 that was in California that racially profiled Asian Americans, and just because of the way they looked, they held them in detention centers in California. So what happens there is that their system that is currently in the United States, and they do have those detention centers that are doing that, they're separating families. And when you separate families, you are having kids grow up without parents, or growing up in a single parent home, or detaching families from their brothers and sisters, whatever the case may be. The detention centers hurt families. And so these detention centers are pointed towards immigrants. So immigrants are coming from other countries. Okay, they do not, or like when you say an immigrant, you think of other countries, but that's also already going to be racially profiling people. Okay, and now we're in a system where detention centers are not just for immigration, they are a system of oppression. They are a system that keeps immigrant families, such as myself, in the lower level of hierarchy here in the United States. Okay, it's talking about land of freedom, land of the brave. It doesn't work like that when people are trying to live together, people are trying to do the best for their kids, and then these detention centers are separating families. So no, it's not something that should be done. There should be something that helps people instead of hurt people, and that is just kind of like basic human rights. And anybody who thinks that, like, well, what right do they have? Where do they come from? Everybody's gonna come from somewhere. So I really think that the system should be helping people, not hurting and separating families.
So in the majority of the research that I've done so far, I've noticed that the majority of the content that's put out there is stating that detention centers were built to streamline the immigration process to gain citizenship and residency. Okay. Would you agree that detention centers back then and now would you agree that that's factual?
No. There's a process. I mean, there is an immigration process. There are immigration officers. There's immigration attorneys, and a pathway to gain citizenship. The detention centers are not part of that. Like, that is kind of like violating basic human rights. Like I said at the beginning, it's life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. Why are they being separated? You're taking away basic human rights, and that's, for me, is the problem. Whether you're Mexican, American, immigrant, from here, anywhere, like, these are basic human rights that we should have towards one another. You know, you come to my house, I'm going to go ahead and treat you with respect and dignity. If I ever go to your house, I expect the same thing too, and not be racially profiled or put into detention centers or things like that hurt people. Like, I really do think that if I pay taxes on everything, income, property, we're getting taxed very well, that money should be used properly.
So, do you think holding people in detention centers helps or hurts immigration law?
I honestly think it hurts the image that the immigration system has, just because we're not really aware of what's going on in these detention centers. So I think it hurts the image of the actual system, just not being very transparent. So,
Are you worried about how people are treated in the detention centers?
definitely, just due to the fact that there's no transparency, and then you hear a lot of this stuff going on, like through the media, people coming forward, family members making certain accusations, politicians, and then the worst thing is like politicians trying to gain access and then they're not granted access. So I think that's a big, what are we hiding, I think if you want to be transparent, let these people in there. Like let us see what's going on in there. If you're being humane, let these people in there.
Do you think the media is covering the issues adequately, or do you think there's like are they not covering the issues adequately when it comes to civil rights?
I don't think they are, just due to the fact that there's an overwhelming population of immigrants, so they can't necessarily get to everybody. Like I don't think they're dedicating the time effectively to each person, so they're not seeing everything that's going on. So it's kind of just they're just kind of going through the process. So people aren't getting they're not getting a fair trials, fair anything. So I honestly think that's what's going on.
Yeah. What is one change you would make to improve the system?
I think I would give the one change that I think that we could make is give an opportunity to everybody. I don't think nobody should be neglected or pretty much turned away. Just doing the proper system, screening, giving them the opportunity to claim their asylums, giving them the opportunity to do, pretty much create their own case. I think once you do that, then pretty much setting up a time where they can, show up to court and not have to worry about, are they going to be waiting for me or what's going to happen. So I think at that point is pretty much where, you can claim your case. I think if we allow people to do that, then people can be screened a lot faster and can be pretty much allowed to stay, given the opportunity to stay, just like we all did, our parents and stuff.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Current policy proposals from the Republican side are expanding border enforcement, increasing detention capacity at large facilities in Georgia and Texas and Pennsylvania, and processing centers in Maryland and Texas and New Jersey to speed up deportations. While on the Democratic side, they aim to reduce detention of families and children, increase oversight of detention facilities, expand legal pathways for immigrants. Some government proposals include expanding detention capacity to tens of thousands of beds nationwide. I guess in conclusion, immigration detention camps are a major political debate in the United States. Republicans generally emphasize border security and enforcement, and Democrats often emphasize humanitarian concerns and reform. The issue remains controversial. Immigration policy continues to evolve and change, but I think it comes down on who we really want to take care of.